Hello everyone, today is May 28th of 2020. I have an investment tip. GSX is fraudulent. Almost for sure. So, GSX was found fraudulent by two investment firms that go out and seek fraud. Muddy Waters Research is the most well-known one, and also Citron Research is the other one. Muddy Waters Research had released an article a while ago, and they also released an article today. I just want to go over that really quickly, show you the actual data, and let you come up with a decision for yourselves. I guess a disclaimer, I'm not at all responsible for your decisions on the market. Take the data as purely an educational purpose. Another disclaimer is that I am short, a pretty aggressive position, two options, one sort of long-term and another aggressive short-term option. So a little bit of background. LK Coffee was found fraudulent right before this, which is a company that a few months prior, Muddy Water Research had found them fraudulent and took a while for the market to respond. They had found that the majority of these sales were fabricated. And yeah, now on to GSX. So GSX is a education company in China. What they do is they host online classrooms, and it's mostly K through 12, but they also have some, I think, some CPA accounting classes, if I'm not mistaken. So Muddy Waters Research found that they were fraudulent through analyzing user data. They had found that the majority of their users were bots. I identified them in a couple of ways. I skipped around too much. Precise joiners was the first one. So they have precise joiners, and then they have burst joiners, essentially saying that they have joiners that join classrooms at very specific times and in large quantities. I had found this to be true. I can just pull up the Python notebook right now. This is just me loading in the data. Just an example of one data point. And I had graphed out the join times of these users. I had to do two graphs because the first data point sort of overshadowed the rest of these data points. So this data point is here. This would be here, but it goes out of the graph and makes the scale go kind of crazy. If this was something normal, then you would expect users to join at some sort of mean and median time, and then sort of drop off. It's sort of like a normalized distribution, or even like a semi-normal distribution. But as you can see here, this is very off, right? There seems to be, at the very beginning of the class, the majority of students who join, right? And keep in mind that this isn't, I could expect the majority of students joining if it was like mostly college courses or something like that. But the majority of these users are high school, middle school, or even grade school students. It seems that they have users that are pre-K as well, and you can see their avatar images, and it's straight a baby, right? You don't expect babies to be joining at the exact time when a class starts, or even grade schoolers, middle schoolers, even high schoolers. There may be a sort of culture difference between American and Chinese education, but I wouldn't imagine it to be this much, right? And also having a cap of when users stop joining is very strange. So essentially I found that data to be also true. They talk about IP joiners. I personally did not get to go over and look at this IP data, but what I can say is that GSX had found a high correlation of IP addresses between users, and whenever I went to GSX's websites to pull user info from their APIs, they had actually blocked off IPs. So that in itself is suspicious. If you give out your users' names and IP addresses and a bunch of private data, and then when a research article comes out claiming that you're fraudulent, and one of the metrics is IP addresses, you block off essentially just IP addresses and then leave all other private information available. That's very sketchy, right? This is more soft things here. Muddy Waters Research apparently had gotten a manager to essentially say that the company is fraudulent, right? I think that's all the actual hard data that they have. I want to talk about a little bit about GSX's response. So GSX essentially said that the reason why they were burst joiners was because they had tutors that would teach students beforehand, and they would then migrate students in big bursts. But I didn't find that to be true because the data that I pulled was from free classes. And apparently they do not give tutors beforehand to free classes. So that already is a blatant lie. Whenever you're caught to be fraudulent and then you come up with a lie that's pretty obviously false, that's a pretty bad sign. And this is Muddy Waters' second article that was posted today. They talk again about the GSX IP joiners. I can't confirm any of this, but it seems right. Everything else that they had talked about seemed to be correct. This isn't really any hard data, but it's something that's pretty funny, entertaining, pretty blatant. Apparently, GSX had been hiring for bots, right? But this sort of data I would take with a grain of salt. A lot of companies that will short do some strange things to try and bring down the performance of the company. And I want to talk about the sort of data that I went through. So Olivia and I went through, Olivia Barton, shout out to Olivia. We went through about 1,000 user profiles, and we went through their images to see if these users seem to be legit, since the majority of them seem to have avatar pictures. There were some users that were real. So we essentially did a Google image search of these images. Google will find similar images or find out the origin of those images. It's pretty convenient. So the users that were real had a social media account, or they didn't come up on a search, which is a good thing. If the photo is completely unique and nowhere else on the web, then most likely the user is probably real. But the vast majority of these photos were like stock images, images of random cats on the internet, images of drawings, things like that. And I would say at least 8 out of 10. I didn't write down any of the numbers. This is just a quick check that I did before I had taken my short positions. Yeah, if you're interested, I can post the information, but this is the end of my tip. I will probably be releasing this to my friends and family first, and then posting it on social media for everyone else. Alrighty, well, good luck on the stock market. I hope you make money off of this, and I wish you all the best of luck. Goodbye.